This is Carrie Phillips, Musselman Library Director and Archives and Special Collections Librarian. And I'm here today with the time capsule from Berky Science Hall, which was delivered to us late last week following the beginning of the demolition of that building. And so I'm here today to videotape opening the time capsule. I've opened the lid already and have just lightly touched a few things that are visible on the surface inside the box, and their condition is very, very poor. Clearly the contents have gotten wet over the years, and so I'm not quite sure the condition of things that we're going to see, but I think it's going to be interesting. I also think it might be a little disappointing. We might not be able to tell exactly what we're looking at, and we'll see what we can see. Here we go. And I'm going to move the camera just slightly so that you can see the contents of the box. They're in really, really rough shape. Very brown on the top. Lots of dust in there. It kind of makes me wonder how full this box was when the lid was placed on, as to whether or not contents have gotten wet and then kind of settled over the years. So I may not be able to pull, I'm going to try to pull some things out from the top first. If that doesn't work, I may actually invert the box like a cake onto a flat piece of board and see if I can get the items out that way. So let me reset the camera. Okay, I'll try to tip this forward. So this is a Bible, and I've opened it to 2 Corinthians, the beginning of chapter 11 and the end, or sorry, the beginning of chapter 12 and the end of chapter 11. Then I can see a folded, almost looks like this was probably rolled at some point. Like you can kind of see, if I'm holding it here, you can see that this was rolled up and then it's rolled up and kind of squished in there. I'm going to try to turn this open. Okay, this is a copy of the Bluffton News. Okay, and it looks like this is the Bluffton News issue dated February 26th, 1914. We can see that pretty clearly right here. I'm going to move it over in front of the camera so that you can see that. There we go. And if I open it slightly more, again, I can see a drawing of the Science Hall, and you can see something about the new Science Hall right here. And so if we would find this issue maybe on our microfilm collection, or I don't know that it will be very easy to open this. It's actually in pretty good shape considering, but it's also very brittle and very, very dirty. So, I don't know if I can gently open this to see. This is an issue of the Bluffton News that was kind of celebrating the construction of the science building. So the plan of constructing that. So that's great. I'm going to set that over to the side as well. The next thing in line, and again, this would have been, so we're looking as though we were coming up from the bottom of the box, which means that this, I can tell, is a cover. It's the cover of maybe the April 1914 or 1913, I'm not sure which, Bluffton College Bulletin, which very likely was the college catalog issue for that year. So it would have listed all of the classes being offered, all of the majors, the faculty, and that sort of thing. I can see, I think I can separate that pretty easily. And so I think that's what we've got here. I don't know, however, if I'll be able to actually open it and look at some pages. Because it's in such poor shape. You can actually see some insect damage, probably. Like, I don't know if I can show this to the camera well enough, but right here along the side, where's my finger? There we go. Right here, there's some kind of tunneling into, which is probably insect damage, tunneling into that. And what's interesting to me is that this would have been placed face down because this is the cover. You can kind of see it here. This is the cover of that college catalog issue. It looks as though this had been stapled at one point, but very likely the staples have rusted away and are kind of just gone. Yeah, we're in the College of Liberal Arts, the History and Social Sciences section with courses taught by C. Henry Smith, and you can kind of see here some of the degradation of the paper and possibly insect damage. I'm not sure. That's what we would be seeing kind of over here. Yeah, so we would have other copies of this in the archives, so I could compare that. But my guess is that it's either the 1913 or the 1914. Okay, I'm going to see now if I can separate this from whatever layers are below it. Use my tool here a little bit. Oh, knocked it loose. It looks like a metal fastener from whatever is below this had kind of rusted and maybe stuck in the paper. So here is that newspaper. And I can open it here to see. Oh, this is the Lima newspaper, the Lima Republican, the Lima Gazette, from Lima, Ohio, Saturday morning, April 11th, 1914. So this tells me that probably that Bluffton College Bulletin is actually the April 1914 edition, since it probably lines up chronologically with what we're seeing here. This newspaper is actually in pretty amazing shape, and if we think about it, the newspaper was kind of in the middle. It was sort of in the middle of the pile, so it was most insulated from things like insects and weather and water and whatever else. The next item that I see is a staple-bound item with what looks to me to be a green, maybe cardstock or paper cover. I'm going to lift it up here. It seems like it's lifting easily, although there's a small area here that is torn off. Okay, and this is probably a college catalog from Central Mennonite College. So this was Bluffton College's previous name, its first name. And my guess is that this is kind of the college catalog. This would have been from its very first year of offering classes. We talk about 1899 as being the year that it was kind of selected, but actually 1900 was the year when the classes were first held. So this is actually a really exciting find, because I don't know that I have a copy of this in the archives. Not that this copy will be very readable, but it's actually in really good shape, all things considered. I'm going to try to slowly open it. Yeah, so we've got some mold damage going on. It clearly was wet at some point, especially down here. This discoloration could be mold. And you can see where the, hold it over here. You can see that discoloration down here. You can see the rusting of those staples. There's a lovely etching of College Hall. Yeah, so that's a good find. And that was on this pile like this. So it would have been like laid down into the box this way. And this little chunk from the cover is still stuck to whatever this is down here. But I'll place that to the side. This looks to be something that was folded in half completely. I don't know if I can separate it. Okay. I've got it separated. It looks, again, I can see some staples on this side that have rusted. You can see here and here. I don't know if I can unfold it. I don't see anything written on the outside here, so I don't know what this is. I don't know if it will unfold, but I'll try. Oh, okay. This says Catalog of Central Mennonite College at Bluffton, Allen County, Ohio for the year 1901-1902. So similar to the document we just looked at, but a little bit larger, so they folded it in half to make it fit in the box. Again, this has gotten wet, or it's definitely been exposed to moisture. We've got a lot of discoloration, possibly from mold. The staples have rusted. it looks to be a letter. There's a metal fastener here in the corner that's quite stuck to the layer under it, so I'm just going to try to peel that apart. Okay, this is a resolution. It's on Central Mennonite College letterhead from the Office of the President. Resolved that it be the sense of this meeting that an institution should be established representing the various Mennonite branches, giving the undergraduate and graduate work of a standard college, the biblical and theological work of a standard seminary, and courses in music, aiming at the thorough development of the musical ability of our people and meeting the needs of our churches. And it goes on. So I believe this is a resolution establishing, it may be establishing Bluffton College. It says, at a late hour, the meeting adjourned with a feeling of gladness in the heart of each of the brethren present because of the spirit of unity and goodwill that had prevailed throughout the entire discussion, as well as on account of the definite work accomplished. Again, I may need a tool. We'll see. It looks like there's a folded edge right here, so I'm going to try to use this spatula to get in there and separate things. Definitely a metal fastener going on because there's a large rusty spot right here. I want to be careful not to... Okay, and another metal fastener there in that corner, causing some issues. So again, we've got another set of a couple of folded pages with metal fasteners here in the corners. Brass maybe, or some other kind of metal, I'm not sure. It looks like I should be able to unfold it here. Let's use a tool. I'm going to get in there in front of that metal fastener and pull that open. Okay, this is a letter on Central Mennonite College letterhead, Office of the President. It's dated May 1st, 1913. It says, to the members of the Educational Committee of the General Conference of the Mennonite Church of North America, Reverend S. M. Grubb, Secretary. I believe that's Silas M. Grubb. So let me put that in front of the camera so that you can see it. Really having trouble getting that out. So I'm going to open this all the way and see if I can separate from this side. And again, we're just really in cornflake territory here. Okay, so I've separated whatever this is. I can't quite tell. It says Cooperation in Mennonite Education. It's a typed document in kind of that blue mimeograph. But it looks like perhaps there's another document below it because I can see two folds here. But everything is just in such poor condition that I can't quite separate them. So now that I've got this separated, I might try again. Coming from back here. Okay. But it also looks like those two documents were clipped together with that really rusty fastener. So I think I'm just going to leave that for now. I am now at another layer of folded paper, and the further down this pile I get, the more decomposed the contents are. They are very brittle, very sticking together, very difficult to separate. And again, like, I'm not under any pretense that I'm going to save these materials in mint condition. I'm really just trying to identify them and separate them as best I can without causing additional damage. Something that I'm seeing is that there are metal fasteners at play here. This is a little chunk from a cover. It goes there. There are metal fasteners at play here, and metal fasteners over time will cause other kinds of problems, including they rust or they will degrade in other ways, mostly rusting, and discolor things or cause things to stick together. It's actually pretty remarkable. So I'm just now really trying to kind of find my way through what we've got here. This to me looks like a single folded sheet of paper that I'm trying to separate, but it is really stuck right here in the center where a lot of this is sort of decomposing into soil. But here is one page. I'm going to see if I can unfold it. It's got a metal fastener here in the corner. It actually looks like it's 2 pages. And again, really rough shape. Here's a metal fastener as well. I'm going to use my tool again to see if I can get it to separate, but I don't know if I'll be able to. A resolution adopted by Mennonites assembled at Hotel Hayes, Warsaw, Indiana. Again, I think this is documentation related to the establishment of Bluffton College and Mennonite Seminary. So we can see some of the typing here. I don't know, I'm going to check my video. Yeah, you can kind of see the words. And this is actually 2 pages. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can separate it, but it's really, really in rough shape. I'm going to move this over to the table. This appears to be a larger document. Not sure I can quite tell exactly. It definitely lifts up pretty easily right there. Let me see if I can continue along a fold. It's just really difficult to tell. A folded document of some kind, and there's a seam. There are 2 folds over here on the side closest to me that I think that these are 2 separate documents, but it's really hard for me to physically separate them at this point because of the environmental damage that's been going on here for so long. I don't know if I can run my spatula. Yeah, this is actually kind of fully coming apart in my hands at this point. So I can lift it up if I set it over here and turn it over. So this again, when we flipped, this would have been visible from the top of the time capsule. I think this right here is where that rolled invitation to commencement was sitting. So this again is one of those documents, and the other one is here, but like you can see, this is just crackling apart in my hands. So I'm not even going to attempt to open this. I'm just going to lay it to the side. I can slide my spatula in right here in this crack. If I had to guess, so this says, let me use my brush here. Niles Mayflower calcium powder. If I had to guess, I wonder if this is clearly there's an advertisement here. The way this feels to me, it's so brittle that I wonder if this was some kind of a clay-coated paper publication. And when that kind of paper gets wet and dry over time, the amount of brittleness that emerges is just... So it could have been, it's really hard to even say what this was. This is something from what was sitting on up above. So the document over here was sitting on top of this. This might be an issue of the Bluffton College Bulletin. Some of those issues were printed on a clay-coated paper, and so I could check those copies that we have in the archives and try to compare. Like, there's an advertisement here for something from what I think is probably A. Howenstein. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I think that's the pharmacy that was uptown at the time. And so it probably is an advertisement for that, but this is so compacted and brittle that I don't think I can even begin to try to open it. So I think I'm going to just leave it as it is. Thanks for watching, and see you next time in the archives.